Hello students, welcome to English literature class. This is part 5 of Act 4, Scene 1, the trial scene. Children, in the previous video, I had revised the quality of mercy speech, but Shylock remains stubborn. He refuses to show mercy. At that time, Bassanio offers to pay twice the sum and even offers 10 times the sum. And if he's not able to do that, he's ready to forfeit his hands, head, and heart. And he pleads Portia to twist the law once in this occasion to do a great act of justice, to commit this slight irregularity. But Portia rejects that it cannot be done, that no authority is powerful enough to set aside the laws of the land, because many errors might come to the affairs of the state. Then Portia tells that then there is no hope for Antonio, that the bond is forfeit and he can take a pound of flesh. Then she appeals to him, tells that Bassanio was ready to give thrice the amount, that he should take it and order her to tear the bond. But Shylock rejects. And then Portia therefore tells Antonio to lay bare his bosom, to reveal his chest, to remove his shirt. Children, in the previous video I have by mistake told clothes. It should have been shirt, children. And then Portia tells Shylock to keep the scales ready and to get a surgeon. But Shylock tells that he cannot get a surgeon because it is not mentioned in the bond. And then we see Antonio bidding farewell to Bassanio because he thinks that he's going to die, and he tells that he is spiritually strengthened. With spiritual strength he will face everything, and he thinks that he is lucky because goddess Fortune is kind to him and mercifully letting him escape and by an early death, so not to see the ruin of his possessions. She has spared him from prolonged suffering. Children, in the previous video, slip of tongue, I have used mercilessly. It should be mercifully, children. So she has been, goddess Fortune has been kind, that she is sparing him long suffering by allowing him a quick death. And then we also saw Bassanio telling that he holds he has a wife, Portia, and whom he loves as dearly as his own, but he is ready to sacrifice his life, his wife's life, and all the riches in the world but he holds Antonius' life above his life, his wife's life, and all the riches of the world. He hopes that he could sacrifice everything to save Antonio. Now let us see how Portia reacts to this, children, because Bassanio doesn't know that his wife is there, and Portia, in the disguise of a lawyer, she is there. So let us see how Portia reacts to this. Children, I'm in page number 124. I'm in lines 299. Have you opened the textbook, children? Shall we start then? I hope you have the pencil. So when Portia hears this, children, I hear in this slide, I'm here, children. Your wife would give you little thanks for that if she were by to hear you make the offer. She tells if his wife happened to be there, she would not thank him for offering to sacrifice the life of his wife. So does she really mean it? Is she really angry? No, children, she knows that how much he loves Antonio, that he is ready to offer himself and his wife's life. That's how she understands. She knows that, but still she sarcastically comments that if his wife were within hearing, she would not be very grateful to him for his offer. If Bassanio is already to prepare to offer his wife, will Gratiano be far behind? Whatever Bassanio does, even Gratiano has to do the same thing. Remember this, Gratiano, I have a wife whom I protest I love. I would she were in heaven, so she could entreat some power to change this Jew. So what does Gratian at this point in time wishes. He wishes. Would means wishes. He tells that he has a wife. And he swears, protest means swear here, children, whom I swear I love. I would she were in heaven. He wishes that she were in heaven. When will people be in heaven? Only after their death. Though, so why does he wish his wife were dead and in heaven? So she could entreat some power to change this Koresh Jew. Come to line meaning 303, children. Persuade some heavenly power to change this wild, despicable Jew, so that she could persuade some heavenly power there, so that they would change this Shylock's mind, so that he wouldn't insist on a pound of flesh. If when Portia reacts to her Bassanio's offer, now even Nerys also should do the same thing. It is well you offer it behind her back. The wish would make else an unquiet house. Yes, he's lucky that she tells Gratiano that he is lucky that he is making this offer behind his wife's back when she's not present. Otherwise, what would happen? Come to the meaning 305. The wish might lead to strife in your household. Definitely unquiet house. It would lead to trouble. It would lead to disturbance in his house if his wife were here to listen to Gratiano making this offer. Children, they don't mean it here. Here, there is also sarcastically is telling. There is a telling that Gratiano that it is well he makes this offer when his wife is not present. Otherwise, the wish would certainly lead to quarrel between them. Shylock is surprised. These be the Christian husbands. I have a daughter. Would any of the stock of Barabbas had been her husband rather than a Christian? We trifle time. I pray thee, pursue sentence. Now Shylock is surprised at the behavior of the Christian husbands, how these Christian husbands are ready to sacrifice their wives' life, and he curses that his daughter is also married to such a Christian. And at that point, what does he wish, children? He wishes that she were married to a man like Barabbas. He wishes that Barabbas, somebody like Barabbas would have been her husband than a Christian. So let us come to the meaning 306, children. So this is what these Christian husbands have to say about their wives. He's surprised, shocked actually, that the Christian husbands are ready to sacrifice the lives of their wives at that point, because his own daughter is also married to a Christian. And what does he wish? He wishes that she had been married to a stock breed of Barabbas than married to a Christian. Then who is Barabbas, children? Come to 307, third meaning their children. A notorious criminal. Pilate, the king of the Jews, asked the Jewish mob whom he should set free, Jesus Christ or Barabbas. The mob said that Barabbas be set free and Christ be crucified. So Shylock doesn't mind that she is married to a person like Barabbas, who was married to a person who has criminal background, anybody, but not a Christian. So not necessarily Barabbas here, anybody like Barabbas, who was noted for criminal, who was noted for his notorious, behavior, criminal behavior. She had married someone like Barabbas rather than a Christian. All this is said in an aside, children. And then he addresses aloud. We trifle time. We are wasting time. He's impatient now. I pray thee, pursue sentence. He wants to go on with the sentence. He wants to have his pound of flesh. Then Portia. What does Portia have to say? A pound of that same merchant's flesh is thine. She announces that the merchant's Antonius flesh is his, thine, his, yours. A pound of that same merchant. Who is that same merchant? Antonio. A pound of Antonio's flesh is yours. The court awards it. Yes, the court gives it sentence, and the law doth give it. So, and the law sanctions it, because there is nothing wrong in it. So the law sanctions it, and the law justifies the award of the pound of flesh. It is legally his. Shylock is ecstatic, children, very happy, most rightful judge, because she has been very fair, very just, when all the whole courtroom is against him, but she is not influenced by the people around her. She is going by the law, and so he calls her a very the most rightful judge, a fair judge, a just judge, Portia. And you must cut this flesh from off his breast. The law allows it, and the court awards it. Yes, and she makes it very clear from which part of Antonio's body should he take his pound of flesh, from nearest his breast, near the chest region. And the law allows it, and the court sanctions it. Shylock, most learned judge, a sentence, come, prepare now. Okay, he praises Portia for her judgment, for her knowledge of law, and calls her a learned, calls her a wise judge, and that she has pronounced a very good sentence. And then he addresses Antonio, come, prepare, means come, get ready, reveal your bosom, chest region, remove your shirt, he tells Antonio. Portia, at that time, see children, this is the climax of the play, where the tables are turned against Shylock. When Shylock thinks that he is within the reach of Antonio, where he can take his revenge, exact a pound of flesh, when he knows that he has it in his hands, at that time, what does Portia do? Tarry a little, there is something else. This bond that gave thee here no jot of blood. The words expressly are a pound of flesh. Take then thy bond, take thou thy pound of flesh. But in cutting it, if thou dost shed one drop of Christian blood, thy lands and goods are by the laws of Venice confiscate unto the state of Venice. So when he's about to cut a pound of flesh, Portia drops the bomb on Shylock. How? Tarry, stop, wait for a minute. There's one more point that she wants to tell him. This bond doth give thee here no jot of blood. He cannot, the bond doesn't mention any blood. The words clearly mention, words expressly mention, clearly mention the bond is, he can have a pound of flesh, but while cutting a pound of flesh, he should not shed even a drop of blood, because while cutting, naturally he would have shed a drop of blood, but the bond doesn't give him the right to shed even a drop of blood. So she tells him, take then thy bond. You were insisting, you wanted everything according to the bond. Yes, according to the terms of the bond, take that pound of flesh, it is yours. Take your pound of flesh. But she cautions him, in cutting it, if thou dost shed, in the process of cutting that pound of flesh, if he happens to shed even a drop of blood, that too Christian blood, one drop of Christian blood, then what will happen? What will be the consequence of that? Because he'll be breaking the terms of the bond, because in the bond it is expressly mentioned as only 1 pound of flesh. There is no mention of bond. So if he cuts a pound of flesh, if even a single, if he drops even a single drop, if he sheds even a single drop of Christian blood, then his lands, thy lands and goods, what will happen to his land, his property, everything, or by the laws of Venice confiscate. Everything according to the law. According to the law, what will happen? Everything will be confiscated. According to the laws of Venice, his property, his good, lands, everything will be confiscated. Confiscated, forcibly taken by the state children. It will come to the treasury of the state. It will, according to the laws of Venice, everything will be confiscated by the state of Venice. Now, imagine the plight of what Shylock might be thinking, children, undergoing what trauma he might be facing now. At that time, Graciano realizes now. What does Graciano realize now? That the tide has turned in their favor. Oh, upright judge, mark Jew. Oh, learned Jew. Now Graciano merrily taunts Shylock. Now that the tide has turned, Graciano throws back at Shylock his words in praise of Portia's wisdom. He calls Portia a most honorable judge. He tells Shylock to notice. Mark means notice well, that she is a most wise judge. James Shylock had used the same words to Portia because he thought she was in favor of him. Now what has happened? Graciano is using the same words. He's throwing the same words at him now. See what the lawyer has done. Shylock, he's shell-shocked, children. Is that the law? Is that what the law say? Portia, thyself shalt see the act, for as thou urgest justice, be assured thou shalt have justice more than thou desires. Yes, you can see the act for yourself. You can see it. She's telling him. So maybe she shows him her law book and tells him to see the act for himself. She tells him that he will see, that he will get justice. Yes, be assured he will get justice, as he pleaded so insistently for it. It may be that the justice will be stricter than he will altogether wish for. He insisted by the words in the bond. That's what he will get justice more than he bargained for. See how Portia, children, did you notice how she did it? So how nicely she laid the trap for him, and he fell. How she gave chances, innumerable chances to him, but he did not take it, and finally she laid that trap for him, and Shylock fell into it. Graciano, oh learned judge, mark Jew, a learned judge. So Graciano is very happy, and he praises Portia, calling her the wise judge. He tells Shylock to make a note that she is a very shrewd judge. Then Shylock realizes now that nothing can be done. He knows that now. I take this offer then. Now he realizes that he cannot have his vengeance on Antonio. So I take this offer. Then what was the offer? Bassanio was ready to pay twice the amount, 10 times the amount. Even Portia had told they are offering thrice the amount. So I take this offer then. Pay the bond thrice. Yes, I'll accept. Yes, if you give me thrice the amount, bond amount, that is 3 times the original amount, 3,000 ducats. And I will let the Christian go, as if he's magnanimous in this offer. And Bassanio ever ready. Now he's so happy. Here is the money he's offering. But Portia, what does Portia do? Soft. The Jew shall have justice. Soft. No haste. He shall have nothing but the penalty. Soft means stop. She tells Bassanio, in his happiness, is ready to give that amount of money because his friend's life is spared. But she tells him to stop. The Jew shall have all justice. He will have justice to the fullest extent according to the terms of the bond. He shall have nothing but the penalty. What is mentioned in the bond, children? If Antonio fails to repay that money within 3 months, then Shylock can exact a pound of flesh, take a pound of flesh. So the penalty is that. So he can have nothing but the penalty. Why is she saying this? Because Shylock was insistent that he wanted everything according to the bond. So she tells him he will have justice to the fullest extent. He shall have nothing but the penalty. He cannot take anything but a pound of flesh. Where earlier she had told him to take thrice the amount. When Bassanio had offered, if he had taken, they could have withdrawn the case. But he insisted that he wanted everything according to the bond. So now Portia tells he can have nothing but the penalty. Graciano, oh Jew, see, an upright judge, a learned a learned judge. So now Gratiano taunts, mocks Shylock. He asks Shylock whether Portia is not a wise and prudent judge. Portia, therefore, prepare thee to cut off the flesh, shed thou no blood, nor cut thou less, nor more, but just a pound of flesh. So now Portia tells Shylock, see, your demand for justice, we have fulfilled it. Take the pound of flesh. So therefore, prepare yourself to cut off the flesh. But the condition is, shed thou no blood. You cannot shed even a single drop of blood, nor cut thou less nor more. When you cut the pound of flesh, it should be neither less nor more, just a pound of flesh as mentioned in the bond. But if thou takest more, if in the process of cutting, if he happens to cut more or less than the just pound, than the exact pound of flesh, be it so much as makes it light or heavy in the substance, even if it happens to be, when he cuts that pound of flesh, if it happens to be light or more in weight, or the division of the 20th part, if that weight of that flesh happens to deviate even by a very small unit of weight, scruple, a very small unit of weight, nay, if the scale do turn, scale means the balance, if it should the weight be lighter or heavier by the merest fraction, should the scale move even by a hair's breadth, what does she tell? Thou diest, and all thy goods are confiscated. Then if he happens to cut even more or less, if the pound of flesh is lighter or heavier than the weight mentioned in the bond, or if the scale turns, should the weighing, if it is heavier, or if, should the scale move even by a hair's breadth, more or less, he will die. Thou diest. That will be the punishment for him, because he would have broken the terms of the bond, and all thy goods are confiscated. All his possessions will be confiscated. Imagine how Shylock might think of what, oh, Shylock, he was happy a few moments ago that he would have his revenge. But now when Portia mentions this, imagine what he might be undergoing. And imagine how Gratiano might feel. A second Daniel, a Daniel Jew, now infidel, I have thee on the head. So, who had earlier called Portia as the second Daniel children? Shylock himself had called her a second Daniel. Now, Gratiano sarcastically taunts Shylock and ironically uses his own phrases to taunt him, to mock him. He tells Shylock that Portia is truly a judge with the wisdom of Daniel. He is a second Daniel, learned and wise. Then calling Shylock an unbeliever, infidel, who is a non-Christian, he tells him that Gratiano tells now that he has Shylock in his firm grip. I have thee on the hip. I have a firm hold on you. The phrase on the hips, it is a metaphor taken from wrestling, means to secure a firm hold on the opponent. I have you in my firm grip. That is what Gratiano means. Portia. Then she sees that Shylock was Shylock hesitating. So now she asks him, why did the Jew pause? Take thy forfeiture. Why are you hesitating? All this while you wanted that penalty, you wanted that pound of flesh. When the law has sanctioned it, the court has awarded it. Why is he hesitating? Take thy forfeiture, take the penalty, take the pound of flesh. But Shylock realizes in what danger he is. So he knows that while cutting, that he will shed a drop of blood, and also he may not know whether it is exact pound of flesh. It may be more or less. So he realizes the danger he is in and tells that he doesn't want to take that pound of flesh. Give me my principal. He now just wants his original amount, the principal amount that he had given to Antonio, that is 3,000 ducats. and let me go. And he requests that he should be allowed to go. Bassanio, I have it here. I have it ready for thee. Here it is. Yes, if you want 3,000, that's also ready. I'm ready. See, Bassanio wants this matter to be over, children, so that he can take Antonio to Belmont. I have it ready for thee. He's eager to finish this case. So take this money. Here it is. But Portia, what does Portia do? He hath refused it in the open court. He shall have merely justice and his bond. Yes, in the open court, when an offer was made to him that he should withdraw the case and take the amount, he refused it and he insisted on justice. So now he cannot have anything but justice. He shall have merely justice and his bond. He can only have justice and the bond according where, and justice and his bond according, he will have justice according to the terms of the bond, nothing more, nothing less. Gratiano, a Daniel, still say a second Daniel. Again he's taunting by throwing back his own, Shylock's own words now. I thank thee, and on top of it he humiliates Gratiano, humiliates Shylock by telling, I thank thee, Jew. Yes, he's thanking Shylock for teaching me that word. Any doubt until now, children? We are in page number 127. Go through the lines, children. So what did we see? Gratiano praising Portia and mockingly thanking Shylock for teaching him such good words like Daniel, a wise judge, honorable judge, all those things. Lines 355, children. Shylock, shall I not have barely my principal? Now, he is really shocked now. He doesn't know how to react. And so he shocked. So he can't believe that he can't even get his original amount of 3,000 ducats. So then, shall I not have barely my principal? Portia tells, thou shalt have nothing but the forfeiture, to be so taken at thy peril. Yes, he can have nothing. No, he cannot get even the principal original amount. The only thing is that he can take the forfeiture, the penalty, that is a pound of flesh, that too at his own risk. Nothing but the penalty, that too to be taken at his own risk. Shylock, why then? The devil gave him good of it. I will stay no longer. Question. So what does Shylock have to say? Shylock is very angry now. So thou shalt, when she tells that he can have nothing but the penalty, what is named in the bond, then Shylock, why then the devil give him good of it? I will stay no longer. Question it. Come to the meaning. 358, children. May the devil take him. Even at this point, he doesn't have any good wish for Antonio. Why then? May the devil take Antonio. I will stay no longer. Question. I shall not remain here for any further talk. He's disappointed, dejected now. He doesn't want to stay and see how the Christians will rejoice. But Portia drops another bombshell on him. Okay? Tarry, Jew. Wait, you cannot go. The law hath yet another hold on you. It is enacted in the laws of Venice, if it be proved against an alien that by direct or indirect attempts he seek the life of any citizen, the part against the which he doth contrive shall seize one half of his goods, the other half comes to the privy coffer of the state, and the offender's life lies in the mercy of the duke only against all otherwise. In which predicament, I say, thou standest, for it appears by manifest proceeding that indirectly and directly too, thou hast contrived against the very life of the defendant, and thou hast incurred the danger formerly by me rehearsed. Down, therefore, and beg mercy of the duke. So what has happened here, children? Please go through the lines once again now. Read it in your mind. Did you get it, children? She tells that is not, the case is not yet over. The law has yet another hold on him. She tells that it is enacted in the law, in the laws of Venice. There is a provision in the laws of Venice that if it is proved against an, if it is proved against an alien, who is the alien here? Foreigner, that is Shylock. It is if it is proved against an alien, foreigner, that he directly or indirectly tries to seek the life of any citizen, that is Venetian citizen. If a foreigner has tried to take the life of a Venetian citizen directly or indirectly, the party against the which he doth contrive, so shall seize one of his goods. She makes it very clear that the man, the person against whom the foreigner tried to take his life, plotted against him, that person shall seize one of his goods. The other half, what will happen to the other half? The other half comes to the treasury of the state, privy coffer of the state. And the offender's life lies in the mercy of the Duke only. So what is she telling here? She tells that Shylock, that he has put himself into the power of the law in yet another way. One of the statutes in the Venetian law declares that if a foreigner conspires against the life of any citizen of Venice, either directly or indirectly, then the person whom he has plotted against is entitled to half his wealth. The rest is to be handed over to the private treasury of the state, and the life of the plotter depends on the will of the Duke without appeal. Did you get it, children? So, and whose voice will prevail? Only the Duke's voice will prevail without consideration to what others might say. In which predicament I say thou standest. So now he is in a very difficult situation, for it appears by manifest proceeding that indirectly and directly too thou hast contrived against the very life of the defendant. So now it is very, now the provisions of the law which he declared earlier is applicable to him, because now it appears for it clear evidence, manifest proceeding. So it clear evidence is there now that from what has happened, that and Shylock had directly or indirectly plotted to take the life of Antonio, the defendant here. So, and thou hast incurred the danger formerly by me rehearsed. So now whatever she told earlier, now all that law is applicable to him. So the danger formerly rehearsed by me, declared by her. Thus now the penalty is applicable to him as declared by her when she cited a law. So what does she tell him? Down therefore and beg mercy of the Duke. So she tells him, kneel down and to beg mercy of the Duke, to beg for his life. Children, did you notice now? So now one more case is against him now. Without his knowledge, he has committed this mistake now. Please go through the lines once again, children. See how Portia turns the tables on Shylock. Both the dialogues tarry. Please go through the lines. How she finds loophole in the bond to, and she uses it to her advantage to save Antonio. How Shylock insisting that everything should be according to the bond, how she turns it against him. This is what you should notice, and how now the law has another hold on him. Children, these two dialogues tarry. The lines from 316, children, 316 to 323, and the lines 360 to 377 are very important, children. This has already come in the board exam. We will see what happens next in the next class, children. Please focus and concentrate. Thank you, children.